I'm not coming in questions because I forget what we were good at.
You gotta start it up.
Yeah.
No, y'all got to ask me something.
So
I'm here for
that way
you.
you can like elaborate.
Yeah.
I'm not. Tell us a little tidbit. How long you been doing this stuff?
Okay. I'm selling Cutco. I started in 2011. I went management pretty heavily when I first started. So I was assistant manager for all of 2012, or basically I helped run our office in 2012 and then opened my own district in 2013. 2016, I closed and became a pilot sales manager. And I was a pilot sales manager for John Carpenter until last year, actually. So yeah, I've been able to balance both, obviously, to sell Cutco. So I started out, not good, like all of us probably. Then I sold, I think when I first closed, I sold like 150 grand. And then the next year it was like 186 grand. And then it was 220 or no, then it was 250 to hit the Rolex. That was in 2018. 2019 had my first down year in the business. That was at I sold 240. And then
wonderful
2019 and 2020 came and I was like, I scraped by at 220. And then 2021 came around and I did 420. And then last year I did 520. And then this year I'm on pace to have my best year ever again. So I'll finish 600, 700K.
What was like the
This year?
strongest?
Yeah.
What was
After was
the,
what?
520.
what was the strongest thing that kind of got you back is that you came back from like 220 to
The 420. So I got married that year. So
that did it?
and that was, I will say my wife's a huge motivator, but it was more so I had to look at the business as not just for me, but for us. And I also wanted to grow my business, but I didn't want to work more.
Yeah.
So like I had to really figure out like how do I take that next step without taking more time away from her. And that's kind of the big focus. So what I tried to figure out was like, okay, my average order was $340 at that time. And I was like, if I could double my average order, I'll just double my business and I won't have to work more. So I tried to focus on getting better at selling larger sets, getting better at selling package deals, and then starting to focus on like what's going to be a consistent needle mover to grow the business each year.
Yeah.
So being more confident drastically in like selling cookware, selling flatware, selling ultimates with steak knives, and just being able to like a customer to be able to have a 4K or 5K, an 8K, 10K order and that not be a big deal. And that drastically shifted my whole business.
So that's probably where I'm at. And I've owned this and kind of talked to my husband about it a little bit. It's like I grew it to 340. I'm like, great, that's cool. And then I grew it to 342.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, that's cool. But now I'm like, the only reason I'm not doing better is I haven't spent any time working on being better. And I've completely owned that. And I've said to my husband, I was like, can I say something like role play?
Oh, 100%.
And he was his MBA, so he gets business.
Yeah.
He ran through the numbers. I put him through Cutco school. He knows how to double the edges now. And now the problem is like I just need to like do it. So how did you do it?
So I definitely
Like what
started.
did it look like? How did you, maybe
So
talk
that's a little
about it,
tougher,
you
but
know
like,
what I mean.
like during the week, I actually listen to audios. Like I'll just re-listen to them. Anytime I'm driving anywhere, I'll try to find different recordings of
So I can't
talks.
listen to crime podcast.
I would not. Like if you want to grow your business. But like, well, and it was funny too, because Bert talked about this a few like last year, 2 years ago on our state fair call. And he was like, how much information do you have at your fingertips right now that can help you grow your business? How many net meetings did you go to that you took notes at and you never reread?
Yes.
How many,
I remember that.
yeah, it was just such a good talk. We had him give it at net because it was so good for us. And it was funny because like, and I thought about it, I was like, dang, I do have,
re-listen to podcasts.
yeah. But I thought about it and I was like, okay, we have so many resources at our fingertips that we've already listened to. And it was like, how much did I actually implement? So I was like, okay, I try to focus each year, like what's going to be the biggest needle mover for me. So I was like, how can I get better at selling ultimate sets at the booth? If I can sell more ultimate sets or be better at pitching an ultimate set, I will sell more Cutco just overall.
So just practicing and then realizing.
Practicing the script, listening. Like I've re-listened to Seth Kinzer's virtual net talk like 100 times this year already. Like just on selling ultimates. It's like Josh interviewing him on how to sell ultimates. And it's so good because Seth talks way too much, but he has so many good one-liners. And I love Seth. He's a good friend. Like I'm going to their house next week, but like, it's just like, I want to make sure like that there were so many good tips in there that it's just helped me be more confident. And then it's also like listening to Luciano talk about selling a Cutco kitchen. And he's like, hey, I pitch Cutco kitchens because I want to sell Cutco kitchens. I don't pitch Cutco kitchens because I want to sell them an ultimate set.
Mhm.
So it's like resetting that mindset of like, I'm showing you this package because my intention is for you to buy this package. And my confidence has drastically shifted from like, oh yeah, I sold like 80 homemakers at our fair one year. And that was cool. But now I sold like 25 ultimate sets, and that's way cooler. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like all of a sudden my number went from like, and maybe it wasn't 25, it was like 14 or something. But like my numbers went from at the fair when I first started working in Texas to selling 20 grand in 17 days till last year I sold 130 grand in 19 days.
Awesome.
So like,
That's it.
So
Yeah.
what does it look like during the week then?
so like I'll listen to audios all the time, any chance I can,
Okay.
in the car or at home. If I'm just doing something instead of playing a video game, I'll just, hey, you know what? I'm going to write my script out. Like I'll rewrite my scripts. So if I'm trying to relearn something or trying to edit something that I need to get into my verbiage, I'll handwrite it multiple times because that helps me lock it in mentally. And then my wife hates me, but like I will role play on her. I will go, she knows my pitch, like, because I have to practice with somebody.
Yeah.
And then I also will once every 2 to 3 weeks meet up with Roger Rodriguez and Stephen Decker. And we will just go over our business plans and what are we focusing on and what are we working on just for accountability with each other. And then it's just like consistently going through that. Now the big needle mover for me this year is like, how do I sell business gifts more at the booth?
That was my next question, because I'm okay, but I'm not, that's what I want to improve is my business gifts,
Yeah.
if, how to handle a customer that comes up. So I guess basically what is just a simple thing that, like how to start when someone comes to booth and they say they're a business
So
owner?
I won't change anything in the beginning.
Okay.
I have 100% adopted the John Clovey approach and ask every single customer what they do for work while I'm writing up the order form.
Okay.
So like, I want to focus on whatever we're in the moment to talk about right then and there.
Mhm.
And like, this is like, to me, business gifts are additive. Like it's not replacing anything I'm
Mhm.
already doing. And I've noticed a lot of people try to transition and then they lose focus on what's important.
Mhm.
So like, is this additive to my business currently? So I'll do my full pitch. We're going to sell them whatever we're going to sell them, whether it's a set or a package or whatever. And while I write the order form, it's just like, oh, hey, by the way, what do you do for work? And if they, oh, we own a business, oh, we'd have a company or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
then I'm going to start going into it. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. How long have you had the business for? Do you ever do any appreciation gifts for clients or employees? Or is there anybody specifically that you wish you could build a better relationship with?
Ooh, I like that.
And they're like, oh, because I want them to think and I want it to pop up and I want it to start to generate like,
Did
oh,
anyone start recording now?
No, he's got it here.
so like I just try to keep it simple phrasing to kind of get it to where if they say, oh yeah, we give out gifts all the time. And I'm like, okay, amazing. What do you give? Or they're like, no, but we want to give out gifts. Like, and it's just the same thing like Curtis talks about where he's like, hey, if they need to give out a gift, they won't give it out. But if they want to give it out, they will. Like that's the big difference. People don't buy things they need, they buy things they want.
Yeah,
People won't do things they need to do, but they'll do things they want to do.
Mhm.
So I always try to shift the conversation and do you want to do this, like to get it to do it. But then so it's like, okay, I want to get an idea. They do give out gifts. Who do they give them to? And then I want to figure out price points. Like, hey, that's awesome. Oh, you give out Yeti cups? Oh, okay. Those suck. But like, but it's never like just like I don't want to like trash them for what they're doing, but I always want to help them understand, like, hey, just so you know, anytime you give a gift to somebody, they love it because it's free. But would you want to give a gift that they're going to forget about, or that's they have 80 different versions of already? Or do you want to give a gift that lives a long lasting impression for years to come? And they're going to, oh, obviously I like the impression. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, I'll explain to them what a good gift is and what a bad gift is. Like good gifts are things that leave that long-term impression, has multiple touches. They use it every day. It's for the family. It's not just for the individual. It's for everyone in the house. Bad gifts are things that are disposable, are not tangible, or like cookies, gift cards, things like that. They're impersonal. Yeti cups. They're like, oh, I was like, yeah, because everybody has them, or they use it once and they forget where it came from. So that's why Cutco is actually the #1 gifting company in America right now. And the reason people are taking advantage of this is because they don't have something like this at home. They have something they got 10 or 20 years ago for their wedding, and they've never upgraded. So we see the response from both sides of the table. I hear what my customers say when they give out the knife, and I see the people come to my booth and like, oh my God, is this Cutco? And I'm like, yeah, how'd you hear about it? It's like, oh my God, my roofer gave us this knife like a year ago, and it's literally the best knife in our kitchen. We fight over it all the time. And they're like, wow, people like literally they come, they get so excited when they find us.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, who's your roofer? They're like, oh, it's John Smith. Like they know who it is right off the bat. Like they never forget where it came from. And that's the type of impression we want to help you create for you and your business. You're already giving them top quality work. So you should give them a top quality gift that matches what you're doing for them. And then it's just trying to lock them in like, hey, how many gifts do you normally give out? If they're being very like indecisive, I'm like, hey, okay, cool. Like we don't have to figure out the final number right now, but we also have a pilot program. And our pilot program is really exciting because basically what it is, we get you 10 gifts right now. We'll get your logo digitized. We'll get everything done.
Mhm.
We'll even do the show special. So we'll actually bump you up to the $25 discount versus the 10 discount for price per unit for doing it now. And then you can give out a few, see how things go. And then we can talk about a reorder in the future. But then we have everything on file and you can actually see how it works now. It's a pilot program. So like, that's a big thing. Like if they won't
See,
pull
like
that
that
trigger,
work program.
yeah,
Yeah.
they do. They just think it's, they're like, oh yeah, that's because I'm like, hey, could you think of 5 to 10 people you could give it to right now? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, awesome. Well, let's just get those right now. And we can worry about the rest later when we get an exact number of what you need.
And then do you have that brochure?
Oh, 100%. I have a business gift sheet.
Yep.
So I'm just like, and I always want to find out what's your price point per unit that you'd like to stay under. And let me focus on that. So that way I'm not going to show them a 3-piece Santoku set if they only want to spend $140 per gift. And if they say, oh, it's like $50, I'm like, oh, okay. Would these relationships be worth it to you to spend a little bit more and have a way better impression? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. It's like, okay, I can at least show you a spreader or a Santoku trimmer. Because that's really like the minimum I want them to be at, or a lockback. A lockback knife is such a good, easy gift for construction people.
Yeah,
They hand them out like candy. They reorder them all the time. Like,
Mhm.
so like I have like 8 engraved lockbacks on a leather strip on my booth display, so they can just see all these different companies. I have one that says "Put your logo here."
On a leather strip.
Yeah,
Leather
just
strip.
no, but it's literally
But
just
it's really cool, you guys.
no. It's just
Trust me.
it's just a strip of brown leather,
But it's like hanging.
and I'll fold it over my 2-tier rack, and I'll use the lockback to hold it in place, and then I have them just running down it. So I have like 8 or 9 different ones with different logos, like all the military logos, and put your logo here, and so just a bunch of different examples. And I have straight edges and double D edges.
How do you hang that?
Like I'll just fold the leather over, and I'll use the clip on the lockback
But where do you hang it?
on my 2-tier rack. So I have a signature and yeah, and I have yeah. So like it's just so that way they always see them because they're like, oh, do you have pocket knives? I'm like, where's all of these pocket knives right here? And they're like, oh, they're engraved. I'm like, oh yeah, do you run a business?
I also like that. It sounds like such a small thing, but I like that they're harder to be stolen.
Yeah, like they can't just grab them. I don't like
Yeah.
leaving them on my booth
Yeah.
display because like people just grab them, so they're like they can't just take them.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
They're like.
I mean, I've had to replace a good handful of lockbacks already, so now I haven't had one go missing since I started doing that.
And you're also showing off the clip.
Yeah, and showing off the clip, they see it all, and like, and it's easy because they can't figure out how to take it off, but literally all they do is pull it towards them and it comes right off. Like,
It says on a belt?
no, on a strip of leather.
Oh, strip of leather. Okay.
I mean, you could get a belt.
You could get a belt, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, which one?
Head up with some shoes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's simple, but it's effective, and it just shows off.
Mhm.
Again, I have like 8 or 9 different ones with all different logos and one blank one.
So did you say you listened to John Cody's on Project Connect?
I have listened to that one, but not very often.
Okay.
Like I
John
should listen to it
really
more.
already does, but he's not really good at speaking.
Like
Okay.
John has such good content though. If you listen like
Yeah.
to the there
Yeah.
Does he have is there an audio? on
there
Project
is an audio he
Connect?
did from
Or-
Net, I think, on Vector Connect.
He
Okay.
basically just does what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm wondering, like.
Like his biggest strength, hands down, and I think he'll admit it, is like he's consistent with every single person.
And he
Yeah,
follows up.
Yeah, and
Okay.
like that's like, and now it's just like, okay, having to train myself to be consistent, to ask like, oh my gosh, hey, what do you do for work, by the way? So like as soon as I get the order form, I've tried to condition myself like, okay, black, okay, or doing classic or pearl, very nice, very nice. And then what do you do for work, by the way? Because I'm just keeping that conversation going, but it helps me.
Cause I'm wondering like, what are the key things, like the structure of what I should do after, say I get an order and I wanna ask and say they do. I guess I'm looking for like, what is the structure that I should,
So like literally like when I get that order form, because I've got this first thing already committed.
yeah.
And again, I never want to mess up what I've already closed. So like once I've got that commitment, while I'm filling out the credit card and putting the pricing and everything, that's when and that's personally for me, I don't use the app. I love the order form because I'm conditioned a certain way. And that's what helps remind me that I need to do this.
And
Yeah.
it's good to like a new thing like that is to tie it to something that you're already used to saying.
Yeah.
Someone read Atomic Habits.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the
Chapter
tips.
4.
Wow.
Habits.
But that's like the big thing for me. That's why I love order form still, because I have that time to chat, because then I can just put it down with their credit card. And I'm like, hey, let's talk about this other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we should just.
What percent equals at the booth versus follow-up?
I would say I'm a good 50-50. Like we're way more consistent about actually getting to pull the trigger on something versus nothing.
Mhm.
And I will phrase it too, where I'm like, oh, by the way, since you run a business and you're going to add these gifts to your order, we can actually write off the whole purchase for taxes because you're advertising, not gifting. So literally your knife set is a tax deduction. I'm like, really? And they're like, oh, I'm like, heck yeah, why would you not write this off? They're like, we were gonna find another way, but this makes it easier. Like,
Do you even sometimes just get one?
oh, if I can, 100%. If they're buying a knife set, for sure, just get one. It makes everything cheaper.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
basically the digitizing and the shipping is free at that point because of the price point that we're there. So it's like, yeah, just get one. I'll waive your digitizing fee.
Yeah.
And like, normally it works itself out because of the price difference on whatever they're looking at. And I'm like, hey, you should also put a nameplate. You should get a nameplate as well on your set.
That's fine.
By the way, if you guys don't have nameplates, I just had one that's like,
Yeah.
put your logo here and it's great.
It's just like a
That's
simple
fine.
add-on, but like, if you get them to do that, even if they don't want to pull the trigger right there at this moment, they see their logo on something. And it gets them more excited about doing it a little bit down the road.
It's just like, put your logo.
Because
here,
when they
put
get it in, they're like,
It's
it's
tax
so
refund or something.
good. Yeah.
What is it again?
It makes sure it's 100% tax deductible.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, that's it.
Because it's advertising and
Is that what you have on the nameplate?
no, I just put your logo
That's what
here.
I have on it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's just, honestly, Seth got it on the nameplate, so I was like, that's kind of smart.
Yeah.
Since I'm taking notes, in the very beginning, when you said, do you ever do anything specifically for your clients or employees, anyone you'd want to build a better relationship with?
Mhm.
What did you say after that? Because then you're describing about how we're so much better to
Oh,
be able
yes.
to help them with it.
Well, because I asked, like, I want to know if like, what do they give out any gifts currently? And if they say no, okay, awesome. Well, this is why Cutco makes sense. And this is why you want to stay away from certain things like gift cards or food or things like that.
Mhm.
Definitely want to stay away from alcohol. Because
Yeah.
what if that one person doesn't drink? Then it gets super weird. You don't want to have
Mhm.
that moment. And they're like, oh shit, I have had that moment. They always think back and like it triggers certain things for them.
Yeah.
Oh, and oh, that's great. That seems super time consuming though. Like, and they're like, oh, fuck yeah, it is. Even with realtors, kind of this verbiage works the same way. Because like I'll try to close realtors at the booth all the time too. I'm a realtor rep for that reason.
But it was a real eloquent way
Yeah.
you put it. I don't know if you can kind of go back into like the way that you said that.
phrase.
the
I don't
phrase,
remember
you know what I'm talking
exactly.
about?
Like I was in the
You don't
moment.
want it.
We're gonna be something.
Yeah.
It's true.
I was in the moment, so I don't know exactly what I went
I
to
don't know if
after.
it's perfect. I just really liked it. So,
Yeah, so
okay.
It was too good.
It's ego.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Your head's gonna explode
Stop,
here in a
Larry.
few seconds.
No, but it's always trying to just, again,
Okay.
just be consistent though. Like
Yeah.
the more you ask, the more opportunities you're gonna run into, and then the more, like just general statistically, you're gonna sell more 100%. Like,
Yeah.
and even this year, I'm at I think like 55,000 in business gifts for the year.
Nice.
And I finished last year at 78,000, and I haven't even gotten all of my like Christmas ones done yet. Like,
Is there any, I don't know, maybe, because we're gonna get this too, but is there anything on, just so I have access to it, like Vector Connect that you recommend? to listen to for like prices and stuff like that for businesses?
I would say any of the talks Rob Romanchek's done are as well, because
Oh,
Rob
yes.
is just, and again, Chloe's obviously great, but Rob has really built his whole vector opportunity on business gifts and the way he looks at it and treats it like a job and breaks it down. Like if you ever get a chance, like he just,
His audience.
yeah, his audios are so good, and he's done a lot of different talks on that specific topic. So I would search for anything from him, and then, or if you talk to Josh and be like, hey, Josh, you got any Rob audios?
Yeah.
I know Vast Action they have, obviously, because Rob works with them and does part of the coaching with them. So there's a ton of stuff they have access to as well. But Rob Robinchek's schools, like, I was talking to Kelly Kinzer about it because she coached with them last year, and she was like literally going down and sitting with them and watching him like go to customers like for meetings, and then just they're like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do anything this year. We're gonna do a smaller order, and then they spend $10,000. It's just like, I
The
would
way
love,
he casually presents it all.
yeah, it's.
Oh,
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Like, okay, hey, we're gonna do this, and then what about these other people? He just keeps bringing up different things. So like, it's not just like I'm trying to sell you 100 petite Santokis. He's like, oh, well, we did 5 of these, we did 8 of these, and we did 7 of these.
And how to customize it.
Yeah, and like he'll customize the gift order.
oh, you need a flatware test for someone? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's just, and it's so nonchalant and natural. Like
Yeah.
it's like that. If there was anything you could hear from him, like that's that mindset he has and the way he approaches it. Like customers don't feel pushed or threatened. They feel like, oh yeah. It's just like he's thought jogging them basically throughout the whole pitch.
Okay.
That doesn't feel like a pitch at all.
Yeah. That's cool.
You haven't talked. Big words.
Because you're 4 hours sleep, that's why.
Just listen.
That's like almost everyone though.
I went to sleep at like 11.
Did you?
Yeah.
Last night? Nice. You went to bed early.
What are some standards that you set for yourself that you just want to hit on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing with the difference of the way I approach the whole Cutco business for sure.
Mhm.
I don't want to work at an event if I think I'm going to sell 2 to 5K. Like it's not worth
Mhm.
taking away time from me or my family or anything else I could be doing. So if I go out to work, and not saying I won't work this event because I think it'll only sell that, but like I expect myself to sell 10 to 15 grand minimum if I work a weekend show. I don't care if it's a gun show or a Canton or whatever, like whatever event I'm going to go to, that's my minimum standard for myself. And that's what I expect myself to do. And any show that I'm at, I've learned more and more that like that's the possible easy outcome no matter where it is. Because when I break down the numbers, if I sell 1 or 2 ultimate sets, maybe a couple of homemakers and a couple of upgrades with the random 5 pieces and single pieces in there, like it's 10, 12, 15 grand easy. So I figure now, I look at it now as like, okay, I need to do these things to get these results. And to do that and guarantee it to happen consistently,
Mhm.
I have to have my stuff in check. So like, it was funny, Chelsea Banks asked me this. She was like, what do you do to prepare for the fair that's different from the rest of the year? I said, there's nothing. I treat the rest of the year just like I treat the state fair.
Mm.
So I don't
That's
just
powerful.
go, oh, I'm going to work really hard and be really good one time of the year.
Mhm.
Why would I not do that anytime I work and keep that expectation for myself? So when I walk into my event, my whole focus is I'm here to work. I'm here to sell Cutco, and I want to do my very, very best with each and every customer. So I want to write up 8 to 10 orders every single shift I work. And I expect to sell 10 to 15 grand every weekend. Like however it works out, but that's what I want to do. And that's what I'm going to do. So why, like, and it's good. I love the retreats and I love the get-togethers and I love all that. But like, why would I treat any other event different than what I'm treating the fair when they all give me the same opportunity to make money?
Yeah, I believe that.
And because of that, like, again, just taking my opportunities more serious, when I walk in, I do get better results and my numbers do grow. And now it's like, okay, I can walk in and have a 30K weekend at a home show.
38 minutes left.
And
You're
like,
on time.
but again, like think about that. Like if you had a 20K weekend at your home show, how much better would your week be or your month or your bonus? Like I don't have to wait for a state fair to sell 100 grand in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can you? Sorry, I should have waited.
it's fun.
Can you walk through your schedule for a year in the way of like, these like first 8 weeks, I do this or
Yeah.
I do this. These
So
weeks I don't have a show or service time or whatever, so do you do that?
for the beginning of the year for us for January, it's actually a big month for me. We have an event called the Dallas Safari Club. We sell, we sold 115 grand this year. So that's a guarantee for me in the first week of the first, like literally the first weekend of the year. So it's nice, like January 7th, 8th, 9th or something like that. So I go into there with the expectation of selling a lot. And then we have our Fort Worth stock show and rodeo. So like January through the first week of February for me, I'll work 13 days in January. Basically, I'll work 4 days at the rodeo and 9 days at the stock show.
And what do you do the other 20 days?
Nothing.
Literally nothing?
Like
Or
I'll do a
you
service
have
call.
assistant do all the crap?
Yeah.
You do a service call?
I mean, if they call, yeah.
You
But
study, like,
I'll study, like I'll do like, yeah, but like I'll go over my scripts, I'll study my approaches, I'll rewrite stuff, especially in January. I'm trying to really be extra, like I know I want to start my year strong. So like I did 124,000 in January this year. And so like the off days, like again, I have scheduled at least 2 or 3 times a month, I have scheduled like growth days.
for yourself.
Yes, where I can actually sit down and do scripts. I can sit down and listen to like specific audio so that I can focus on. Because if I'm listening to a really good audio and there's a script involved, I want to try to handwrite it so I can get used to it. And then I'll just rewrite it.
What's that day?
I'll give myself
I need help with this.
I'll give
This is
myself.
what I need.
I'll give myself a legitimate 3
You
or 4
live.
hours. Where I'm gonna have it pre-planned on what I want to focus on. Like, oh, if I want to focus on business gifts for that section of the day, I'm trying to re-understand all of my pricings. I'm re-listening to any script I can get my hands on, stuff that Joseph might have sent me or something I've heard Rob Robincheck do or something like that. And I'm going through my script to see how many hiccups I have. Like I'll record myself to see how many pauses and things like that. Just because, and that was something I picked up from Bert a while ago, but he was like, have you ever listened to yourself try to sell Cutco?
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's not exciting the first few times, but then like the more you do it and the more consistent you make it, all of a sudden my script becomes more natural. And then it's like, I used to be really bad at being able to pitch cookware. And then now it's like, oh, I don't need to overcomplicate it. It's just, do you want to buy it or not? but like, it's a very much more straightforward pitch, and it's like, okay, I'm not skipping and pausing and stuttering or forgetting what I'm talking about in the moment. Like, I can actually just kind of go through more narrow on each specific, what I consider a package of Cutco. But then it's also noticing, what do I consider each different, like, how many $1,000 packages are there, or $1,000+ packages? It's like, okay, we have ultimate upgrades, we have complete accessory packages, we have complete outdoor packages, we have cookware, we have flatware, we have basic sets, complete sets, our family sets, we have business gifts. Like, so how many of these, like, if a customer asks me about any specific thing, I instantly just do the full, feel confident and like, hey, this is why you should buy it, and then you'd be excited to buy it. So like, I'll pick whatever I'm trying to focus on. Like, again, this year it's been mainly business gifts. Like, it's been business gifts, and then just continuously trying to be better at the ultimate. So like, those two things will drastically shift my entire year.
So you do that, growth days, thank you.
Yeah.
2 days a month.
At a minimum 2. If I have like, if I'm just like extra time off. But if I'm also, but like April, I don't do anything work related.
What do you do?
Travel.
Study. No,
Yeah.
Art, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So like,
Study the world.
yeah. So we just like, and it's also like understanding during the week, I also need to make time for my significant other. So like, I will like block off time. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go
Yeah,
out to
those
eat? Do you want to go to a
9-to-5ers.
movie? Yeah, those 9 to 5ers. She doesn't get weekends with me. So like, that's why I won't work every weekend of the month. I would rather at most work 3 weekends a month, unless it's the state fair season. Like, because she deserves to have a Saturday with me where we can go do whatever she wants.
Mhm.
Does she want me to go buy her a nice bag, or does she want to go have a spa day with me, and we'll go get massages and get mani-pedis?
And get petty against other people.
Oh yeah, like,
My
and then
husband loves being petty.
it's fun.
Mhm.
But like, and it's just, so it's like, how do I keep everything in a balance?
Mhm.
But then also during the week, I will do a lot of different things for my coordinator position. So I will be researching shows, talking to promoters, making sure schedules are up to date. Making sure I'm meeting with like Rob, Josh, Brian, so we can talk about like, okay, here's any issues that have come up, or this is a call we need to have about the state fair.
Yeah.
So like that will, and then if it's summertime, I'll also do like PCs for new reps. I'll do PDI some days, like to help out John this year.
How many days do you take off?
Well, normally most of those things can be done Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So like,
In 1 or 2 or 3 days?
yeah. So like, I don't want to spend all my time working.
No, same.
So-
That's why I'm like, I need.
But even some of those things I
I'm
could
doing
do,
well at this level. How do you do it well at this level?
I could do a lot of those things in one day.
Yeah.
If I actually just devote, okay, and instead of giving myself 3 hours a day to focus on something, I might have to block off 6 or 7 while my wife's at work. But I can have all this done before she gets home. Because the reality is she's there all day, I'm not.
Mhm.
Like, I wake up at, when I feel like it. And just like, she doesn't have that luxury. She wakes up at like 4 or 5 a.m. every day to go to work. I'm just like, no. So, yeah. So it's just,
Not gonna
but
happen.
even then, if I wake up at 10 that day, I can get up, I can take a shower, I can get ready, I'll have breakfast, and by 11, I still have 6 hours of that day to focus on things I need to get done, and then I don't have to worry about it during when she gets home. Like, I don't want to have to be working on these things when I could be spending time with her.
Mhm.
So like, that helps me keep that out of the way of what anything she may or may not want to do.
It is helpful being with a 9-to-5er because they're like, no, they're gone.
Yeah.
I'm just here.
So I could just do what I want.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, I
but I
can,
might as well do this.
well, some days I have to make myself do it. Some days I don't want to. If I don't want to, I won't.
Yeah.
But it's also, what's more important, do I want to have the long-term game if I can get better at this now? Because I wholeheartedly believe I'll be able to sell $1 million in a year selling Cutco, and I won't have to do anything more than I've already done this year.
Mhm.
Like, if I can continue to challenge myself to grow and be, again, consistent at what I'm doing when I show up to work.
Mhm.
So like, why not sell $1 million and not have to work more? Like, I get other people will sell it because they worked harder, and that's awesome.
You know, well, it is awesome.
But like,
Sometimes I
good for
watch
them.
it,
I'm
like,
not-
I don't wanna do that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not committed to what it would take for me to do it this year. I can wait a year or two. I don't mind.
Mhm.
Like, but I've noticed that if I take, again, that's the biggest thing, is like, when I show up to work, I'm there to work. Like, and having that mentality of keep treating every single event like you treat your best events will help you grow everywhere, not just in specific places.
I like it. I love it.
Okay.
Thank you. I get to work with you too.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Apparently we won't talk because you're there to work.
I am there to work. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll let more people ask questions now. Find my next week.
Oh. Curtis is the next victim.
Just add it out to the patio.
Anyone else
Awesome.
questions? Yeah, what's up?
What are tips you have or just things you do for like the marketing investment that you put in for your shows, like the postcards that people that are coming in with postcards, like where are you translating that into getting the return?
So it depends on the event, on whether or not I'll send something. Obviously, like if it's an event I've worked for years and years and years in a row. Like the Fort Worth Home and Garden Show, I'm at every single year, and I have a lot of customers that come for repeat. So we'll have drawing slips. And we'll send them an email letting them know, hey, make sure you stop by for the drawing. The State Fair of Texas, we send postcards, emails, text messages. And again, top tier customers get actual handwritten cards with tickets on top of all those things.
And when are those emails and texts going out?
7 to 10 days before the event for the email. The postcard will land normally the week before the event, and the text message will land the day before the event. And hopefully the handwritten note for those people should hopefully show up the week before the event as well, because I want them to have enough time to plan their trip to the fair. But like, again, I've noticed when you do the handwritten card with the tickets, and again, I will very meticulously go through all of my customers, all of my top customers, just overall. And I will look for specific customers who continuously place orders in October, because that's when our state fair is. And if they have 1, 2, 3, it's like, oh, they spent $3,800 last year at the fair. Yeah, you're getting 2 tickets. Like, oh, you spent $3,000 with me, but it was $1,000 for 3 years in a row in October. Like, you're obviously going to get tickets from me. So like, I look at like specific state fair customers, like, and I noticed because Kelly sent out tickets to all of her top clients, and I sent out tickets to all of my top state fair clients. And the response I got was very high, and the response she got was very low. So it was like, oh yeah, my response was better because I sent it to the people who were planning on coming here already anyway. And I targeted them specifically because I know they come here and they'll spend money. And I'll look at their orders too. Like, okay, they bought a homemaker set, and they bought a flatware chest, and they bought pots and pans. They still need to buy a cup, and they need to buy an upgrade still. They deserve tickets. It's like, oh, they've already bought everything plus family program. Like, they can get the postcard. It's fine. Like, I look at like who has the actual potential to make a big purchase. Like, and based on like their order history, it's like, okay, we've done certain packages and we basically line it up to where we're going to be at a Cutco kitchen next. So you have one more thing on the list. I want them to come see me when they get that handwritten card, the appreciation. And then they notice there's state fair tickets in there. They're like, oh man, this guy just saved me $50 to come and see him. Because like our tickets are like $25 a day. So yeah, they can pay for parking, and that's fine. And that costs them $20, but they're not paying the extra 50 to come in. So they're more excited to actually come in there and see me. And our postcards are very specific. So it says what days we're working, and it says what booth locations we're at. So they know exactly where to look for us. Like when you reach out through Vast Action, they set it up perfectly. So they'll ask like, hey, what's your fair schedule? What booths are you at for which days? And they'll put that on the postcards.
You just mail the tickets to Vast Action,
I do that one myself, or I have my sister do it. So like,
but do they mail them through Vast Action?
Oh.
To send them with the postcard?
no,
or
I
just
send them,
mail
it's a
tickets-
completely separate thing.
tickets
So
separately.
they get a thank you card with 2 state fair tickets in it. It's a completely
Oh,
separate
okay,
thing. Yeah.
okay, okay.
So it's a handwritten thank you card, like, hey, thanks so much. Like, and we've kind of adjusted it. We don't want it to be the same thing every
So
year.
those are those people getting a postcard too?
They're also getting everything. So I'm not gonna like not send out the postcards. It's just either send them to everybody. But like I want certain customers to feel extra special. And like, again, the response, like it was an extra $27,000 or $28,000 off of just the tickets I sent out. And the tickets cost me like $700.
I was gonna ask you, yeah, how much that was.
Yeah, it was like $700 for the tickets and the postcard, or in the stamps and the thank you cards. But it was like 35 customers that I sent out the tickets to.
Okay, that was my next
Yeah,
question.
because I'll always send them in pairs. So I watched, again, a lot of people last year only send one ticket to customers. And like, it hurt my, because I watched those customers come to the booth. I'm like, oh yeah, it's so-and-so here. I'm not going to name anybody, but like, and I'm like, oh, they're not here today. Like, oh, how come you have? It's like, oh yeah, we came to the fair. They sent us a ticket. And I was like, well, that was thoughtful. They're like, yeah, for me and my husband, we got one ticket. It's like, they feel very like, wow. Like we spent $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 with this person. They sent me one ticket. Like, so like they do get offended when you do that. So I will always send them in pairs. Even if it's a single person, they'll bring a friend to the fair. They're not going to come by themselves. So like whoever's name's obviously on my CRM, I always try to do both. But if it is just one, I'm like, I don't remember if they're married or not. Like I'll send them 2 anyway. Like, hey, thanks so much, so-and-so. I really appreciate what you did for me in my business last year. I wanted you to have a day of fun on me. So this is for you and someone special. Like I just keep it. And it doesn't have to be a super, and your Cutco guy, Calvin. And they're just so ecstatic about it. But it's like, I've watched Josh for years be so aggressive at marketing. I'm not knocking what Josh does,
Right.
but like I've seen like people come like, oh, this guy's like Coca-Cola. I hear from him at least once a week.
Oh, wow.
And Josh, he's the tester. He's the test program for all of us in the grand scheme of things. Cause he's tried text messages once a week. He's tried emails once a week. He's tried emails like multiple times a week. So once a month. So like, they already know what works and what doesn't work and what's overkill and what's not. And I'll just ask them like, hey, when did you know you were going too far? But like Luke Mills came up with the ticket idea and like, it was like the past 3 years in a row I've done that. And it's been such a great impact. And like, I'm averaging like 55 grand, I think is what I did last year, or 60 grand in past customer visits at our state fair. And again, a huge majority of that was again from the tickets.
Do your postcards have like specific sales on it, or is it more just like a touch to get them?
It's a touch to get them fair. It's more about what's going on at the fair and hey, stop by and see me.
Gotcha.
So like, we want to attract them for multiple reasons. We don't want it to all be about us or all be about sales. Because if you put sales on the postcard, like you're already setting a predetermined expectation.
Right.
Like what I want you to do is, yeah, hey, stop by the fair and make sure you get in our drawing for free cut. But like, that's what Best Action basically does.
Gotcha.
And we use the drawing slips.
Postcard, if you bring this postcard.
If you bring this card, you get an extra entry in the fair. Yeah. And it's funny because like, you'd be surprised how many people get hyped.
About getting that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
Well, the other thing you have to do, and this is what we learned, you have to send out a video for your drawing. Just do the drawing. It takes 5 minutes, record yourself. Hey, this is who won. Because they'll always come and ask, well, hey, what's in the drawing? I'm like, I don't know. Depends on how much we sell this year.
And those drawing slips are money too.
Oh, yeah.
And Chelsea does the best with them. And she literally uses all of them and calls all of those
Oh.
people and says, hey, I missed you at the booth.
Yeah. What?
You know.
And she'll do that. But I won't do that personally. Like, I'm not that
No,
committed.
she just-
Kelsey will, yeah.
A couple years ago. And
She's closing
so much
extra
money.
20 grand off of drawing slips. But like, we keep the drawing slips. And again, if it's somebody else's customer, we'll literally write on the back, like, oh, they looked at flatware and cookware. You should follow up. Like, we'll leave them notes for that way we know who it is. But when you do the drawing and you send it out, people get so excited. Like, oh my God.
That was a game changer. I brought that back.
On the thank you cards.
Yeah.
Are you mentioning make sure you stop by the booth, get an entry in the free drawing on the thank you card, or just on the postcard?
Just on the postcard.
Okay, so
The thank you card is just 100% of gratitude.
Okay, that's kind of what I.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want it to be anything sales related or anything like, this is just, hey, thank you for being, working with me, and here's 2 tickets on me. Like, we keep it short and simple,
Okay,
but just something, and it has, it's like handwritten is what I've noticed works the best,
yeah,
because they think it came from me. And they're like, oh my God, like, and of course, I'm not gonna sit down and write those cards, like, I'll just be honest, but my assistant writes pretty well, so that's good. And it's just like, all of a sudden, gosh, customer, again, they just such a positive reaction. Like, I'll probably do at least 100 to 120 tickets this year, just because of like the response I keep getting, it keeps growing. But again, it's being intentional, like, these are the people that are gonna come to this fair, and that's who I want to send these tickets to.
And you said send 2 tickets per client, so like,
Uh-huh.
don't send one, don't be that.
Don't be cheap.
Don't
They,
be- don't be
I
cheap.
don't know if you heard it, but like, literally, I watched a rep who did that last year. They only sent 1 ticket to their customers. And they came in and complained.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a slap in the face to them and their spouse. Like, even if I don't know if they're married or not, I'll still send 2 because they'll bring a friend.
Bring a friend. And then you got.
And the friend will probably be like,
introduce
Cutco.
it to it.
So like, I know Curtis, he knows if he has like, they're single people, I'll just send them. Like, I'll send everybody 2 tickets. It's
I
worth.
can't remember who's single and who's not.
Yeah, I can't go that, like, he has better notes in his CRM than I do,
Yeah,
but
Even if you know they're involved.
it doesn't
they're
matter.
not gonna come to the fair alone. Like, I don't know anybody,
Right.
like, I know, okay, very small select people go to the fair by themselves.
You're a loner.
Yeah, it's like, everyone wants to go with a friend, or they're going with a group or something like that.
You ever put like a bundle of tickets for like a family about the
So I have 3 customers that are a big family
Yeah,
that I will send extras to.
yeah, I can think of a situation.
Like, and they'll ask me though beforehand. They're like, hey, are we gonna get tickets this year? And I'm like, I don't know, you gonna buy anything?
Yeah.
And they laugh and we laugh. And I'm just like, no, but honestly, like, I'm like, yeah, I can get you on the list for sure. And they're like, okay, could we get any extra? We want to bring our kids this year, and they didn't get any from the school.
What the future looks like when you implement a program
Yeah.
like this.
And it's
They're
like-
already preconditioned.
They are.
are.
And that's fine. They come to me, they look for me, they're excited for me.
It's awesome.
They help me, they bring me people. Like, we get so many referrals at the State Fair of Texas. Like, we're so good at like, and then even our postcard says, bring a friend, get a free referral gift. Like, if they make a purchase of $250 or more, and like, we're give them, a peeler or a trimmer or something, like a promo piece, like, But like we've trained our customers like consistently over the years to like, hey, you're okay, this is what you're buying today, but this is what you're gonna buy next year. And we'll have them walk in and they're just like, oh, hey, Calvin. I'm like, oh, hey, we ready to get our pants today? They're like, yeah, let's just do the whole set. I'm like, cool, just ride it up. Like, it's not even having to spend a ton of time, then we just catch up. But like, we've conditioned our
20
customers
minutes.
to want to come in and buy Cutco. Like, do we train them? You come to the State Fair of Texas, you buy Cutco. This is what you do. This is part of your fair going experience. If I'm not here, that's okay. You just tell them you work with me.
Mhm.
And
I don't wanna overcomplicate the ticket thing,
it's okay.
I just like,
Thank you.
it was my first year last year working with Wisconsin State Fair, so like, I don't know, you think 50 or 100 tickets would be like fine, or like?
That would probably be a lot. Honestly, if that was your first year working this fair. How many customers did you meet at the fair and how many of them are top clients that you would want to show specifically? Like you would want to show this extra gesture?
I think like, I don't know.
Because like in the grand scheme of things, like I have, 3,000 customers in the DFW area. I'm not sending out 3,000 tickets. Like I'm sending it out to my top fair customers.
There's some people that I wanna send to, and then there's other people that I met, like, from like past shows, they're like, hey, we wanna like buy this, we wanna buy this for the end of something.
Yeah.
So like, you would buy it to us, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm working this kind of state fair this year, so like.
Like if that's like notes you have, I would send it to them for sure. But I would be very intentional every time I send out tickets on who's getting them. Like there's a specific reason this person's
So
getting a
maybe
ticket.
take my orders from last year,
Like-
and then pick out with client.
Yeah.
Do you filter like through your CRM, or how do you?
No, I should. And that's
It
the
sounds like
easier
a
way.
process.
Yeah, so I'll have my assistant go through, she'll sit down with me and like, we'll go through. I just do I'll do all my customers on Vector Connect and I'll
Okay.
just order them from highest CPO to lowest.
Okay,
And I'll just start looking at who ordered in October.
okay.
And it's very time consuming. That's why like I have her kind of just help me go through it. But then she's like, okay, what about this
You
person?
have that section.
I do. I have a CRM. She's helping me get it tagged up and stuff. I never use it the right way.
At least you search that.
Yeah.
You'll search by both.
How do you, so one thing, what is your approach to your personal past customers? We talked a lot today about just like Cutco customers,
Right.
but like, when they do come up to the booth, what are you getting them into the drawing first and foremost? Are you showing them new stuff? What are you doing first?
I always want to have them fill out the drawing because if I don't remember I'm terrible with names, but I'm really good with faces interactions. So that way oh my God, it's so good to see. Cause look, Calvin, how are you? I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? I'm like, hey, here, fill out the drawing slip real quick and I'll put it down immediately. And they'll write down the names and I'm like, okay. And I will, if I need to, I will pull up their thing right there while they're finishing the rest of the drawing slip. Like I can look at their order history really quickly and just be like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, they bought this, this, and this. Okay. And now I like, hey, how have y'all been? How's so-and-so? Okay, very cool. Hey, I noticed, last year we did this, this, and this. So like, what's next on your list? And like, if I have any notes already, then it'll be like, oh, wish list is this, or this. Or it's like, okay, I know, hey, you finished your knife set this year. So like, when are you going to buy the flatware or the cookware? And they're like, oh, like
Pretty direct with it.
it's just so much simpler because they'll tell me straight up, like, oh, I'm not done. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. No worries. We're just here for sets for the kids then. Like, because we already have a rapport built with them. But like, I'll know based off of their order history, like, oh, this is the next step we were going to talk about. Because I will try to leave them the year before, like, okay, we've gotten everything we can get. What's next on the list? What do you think the highest priority is going to be? And I'll try to have that notated so that way we know specifically, like, oh, they're looking at pants this year.
How do you stay organized with your wish lists?
My assistant does it.
But
Like I just leave notes on order forms and she adds everything into the CRMs and stuff.
paper order forms?
I am
or-
all about paper order forms.
You
Because
write notes on them.
I write notes on the notes section. I'm not an app person like I'll use the app at a service event because I can just write a note on their service form like when I'm shipping stuff in. But like I much rather have paper order forms because I can leave the extra notes. My assistant can roll it for me. It's not giving me any extra work. And depending on if I'm trying to upserve on something specifically or not, like it's more fluid and I'm more conditioned with an order form than I am without it. So I would much rather just have them fill that out. And then once I get it, I can start going into whatever's next. So I'm an order form all day type of person.
Yeah, I had this nice Google form filled out by Avid, and like I literally like to basically type in kind of the order number
Yeah.
and wish list and stuff, and I haven't filled it out one single time. And I'm like, this is not a system for me, like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna do it.
Well, so again, my assistant, she will, like, I will pay people to do the things I can't do,
Yeah,
or I won't do. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I know myself well enough, I'm not gonna sit there and type all this stuff in later, but she will.
but yeah, like, that's, to me, what I'm doing is still extra work.
Right.
So, but like, for the order form, that's just something I have to do anyways. And then like the.
Yeah, the notice is quick.
It's like, so I might just go back to that.
Like, again, for me, that's what works, because that's what I will actually get
But then
done.
they roll it too.
Yeah, they roll it
I
too.
just have to get a little less sloppy on my order forms.
And that certain orders, if it's like a complicated order or it's a business gift or something, like, and there's special, like, I need to, like, oh, I gotta upload logos and stuff, like, I'll do those myself.
Mhm.
But I'm not gonna roll anything, like, I'm not rolling up 2-piece orders, or, oh, it's a homemaker with 3 shears, like, okay, they can't mess that up. Like,
Yeah.
so like, and not that my assistant would, like, she's very competent, she was a Cutco rep before, so I'm very fortunate, she gets the system, she knows how everything works, she has all my logins. So she can go through and do all these stuff, and if she's not afraid to ask me, like, hey, what did you do here to get this price? If I'm unsure. So like, majority of the stuff I'll just send to her and not have to worry. And then she'll put the notes in on the CRM, she'll add all the stuff to the database, so that way I can go back, I can just, all I have to do is search the customer. And again, as soon as they put their name on that drawing slip, I'm like, because they still have to fill out everything else for it, so I have a couple seconds really quickly to pull it up into reference, like, oh, wish list, they wanted cookware and flatware. Okay,
What if they say like, I don't know, didn't we only like, we got everything.
I'm like, awesome. You know what? You're almost one of those people that can really say that. Do you want to know what you're missing?
Okay.
Because like, I have 3 customers that literally have everything. Like, I've run out of stuff to sell them, and now we've just been buying gifts. Like not family programs, but they're like, oh, you know, there's a couple weddings coming up this year.
Purple.
Yeah, we'll do some stuff. Or yeah, we got the purple. We even made a red, well, not a red exclusive, but we actually got the state fair to approve us engraving the State Fair Texas logo on a spatula spreader. So that was a big thing last year, that people were just buying it as their state fair memento. Basically, it was a Cutco knife, and we put it on literally cleavers and spreaders and trimmers and just all sorts of shit. They were just over the moon about it. And they were like, yeah, because we had it just on display. Like, Josh got everyone on the team a state fair spatula, basically, and had the State Fair Texas logo, had big text on it. Customers were just eating it up, and now it's approved. That's the logo that we have just on file. So it's just $10. Like,
So like, for that, so people, customers just buy that,
Yeah.
them for those?
they can't buy them to sell them, and we can't sell them for them to sell them, but they can buy them for personal use. Yeah. Like, we have it.
Can they use those as like business? Oh, they can't, no.
Yeah, so like, and we're not worried about that part. They don't want to do that either. Like, but it's just like,
Souvenir.
yeah, it's a cool souvenir, and they get super excited, and they'll give them to people as gifts, like for their family. Like, I had one lady, she bought 8 spreaders so she could give one to all the kids. Like, it's me and my 8 children is her email.
Yeah.
$1,000 order just
Yeah.
created.
Yeah, just because she was like, oh, we've sold her galley sets before. I was like, everyone already has a spreader. She's like, yeah, but they don't have the state fair spreader. It's like, fucking hey, they don't. But customers, and then again, we're getting a new knife on July 1st. I don't know if you'll check your orders, but they're sending one out. Yeah, they send one out to every CSP, I think, in the nation. 6-inch vegetable knife is coming to you.
But like, when can we sell it?
I think July is when it gets sent out, like July 1st.
After the purple, they're gonna.
Yeah, once purple's done, like, goes in the emails and stuff they send out.
Yeah, so Dollar's gonna sell another 70 grand of just single,
Probably. Well, like, that's always the best thing too, because what's the first thing customers come up and ask?
What's new?
Hey, what's new? And I'm like, okay, awesome. Did you get our new bigger steak knives? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, you know, everybody wants the bigger steak knives because you're gonna buy the flatware eventually anyway. So you should have 12 of these, and then 12 of them are stainless, right? You don't want 12 regular table knives and 12 stainless table knives, do you? And they're like, oh no, yeah, I want the bigger steak knives. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, wait, you have flatware? I'm like, oh yeah. Like, literally.
how do you, do you, when you're showing the sets, do you always just show with steak knives?
100%.
For like homemaker with steak knives? Do you?
So if it's a homemaker that we end up, that's the set they want to get, I'll ask them if they prefer table knives or steak knives. And I will, like, the easy way to upsell steak knives, I'm like, hey, would you rather have our regular everyday table knives or our full-size steak knives? And they're like, oh, maybe the table knives. Like, okay, the only reason I ask is because we also make our forever flatware, and it comes with 12 of our stainless table knives. So people would rather have our full-size steak knife and our regular, our stainless table knife.
How do you, I guess, make it not a big deal that they don't go.
Oh, they don't fit in the block. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, by the way, the cool thing about these is, since they're bigger, they're not actually going to fit in these small slots right here. So you're just going to keep these in the gift box in the drawer, just like you would any of your other steak knives. And just, it's a matter of fact thing. Like, oh, this is what everybody does. You don't do that. And it's just, they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, awesome. And so I will show them the picture on my iPad very specifically, because I just use my fast action sheets on the iPad.
Pretty common in most homes, where they stick most.
Yeah. So I want it to be a not a big deal thing to them. And I'm like, okay, so here's what your block will look like. Well, yeah, so your block's actually going to be like this. So you're not going to have those. Where'd it go? I lost it. There's too many
You use
specials.
the iPad.
I use the iPad 100%. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So you're not going to have those. You don't want to have a bunch of empty slots in your block, do you? They're like, oh God. And I was like, oh, awesome. Because that just doesn't that look so clean? Like, yeah, it does. So pretty. Here you go for the computer. And they're like, okay, oh yeah, that looks perfect.
Okay.
Or I'm just like, if they're like, I'd really want them in the block, I'm like, hey, that's okay. And you should really just get our family set.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because it's the better set anyway. Like, you want the scissors to be in your set. You want to have our customer requested pieces, don't you? And you actually get 10 of our steak knives instead of 8. So if you want everything to be all in one place, it just looks better on the counter. So here's the cool thing. If you wanted to go ahead and go with this instead, like, we have a special program. I could probably get you a little extra special deal if you wanted to pull the trigger on this one, since it was a little bit more than you were thinking about spending.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, you know, give them $100 off or something,
Mhm.
or $75.
When you do like, say like $75 off, are you just charging yourself?
I will CTR $75 charge,
Yeah.
because if I B block it to bonus 1 steak knife, or I'll end up having to bonus 2 or 3 to get that $75 off,
Mhm.
which is annoying. The CPO drops so aggressively,
Mhm.
so it's more profitable to CTR $75 than it is to bonus a
Yeah.
knife. Plus, when you do your taxes, you can write off any CTRs you did. So on top of it being more profitable right off the rip, you're also getting an extra write-off. So like, I want to factor in both categories versus just like, I'm going to do whatever's the most profitable way.
Yeah. No, that makes
So like,
sense.
I'll weigh my options of like, I'll look at the math and it's like, okay, if I CTR it, I'm going to get X amount CPO extra. If I bonus it, I'm going to lose CPO. So like, okay, that's like, oh, it's $120 to bonus it, or it's $75 charge, or I'm losing 240 CPO to bonus it, or it's a $75 charge. So like, obviously it's 80 or $60 or $50 more profitable just to CTR it, and then I can write that charge off later. So it's an extra bonus on top.
Yeah.
So I'll weigh the option. I won't just do one because it's better. Like, I'm not going to chase the CPO. I'm going to chase the profitability.
Mhm. So, do you work with Curtis?
That's fair a lot, yeah.
Okay, is your, what? When you're kind of, what is your upselling process? I guess it's similar to him, where he's kind of like knives, business gifts, or do you have like a strength in like flatware, cookware?
Well, it depends. Like, it's a variable on the customer.
Yeah.
Like, again, like, because like what I've working with Curtis for years, I've noticed like, okay, I pick up on the subtle cues that Curtis is noticing from the customers, and that's why he's so quick with them, and that's why they buy thousands of dollars. Like, it's no big deal. Like, he's very quick to hone in on where they're honing it. So it's easy to add this next thing. So I'll go based on what the customer wants. Like, if I'm noticing like the husband's over here picking up the hunting knives while I'm talking about the knife, says, I know he's a hunter and I need to talk to him about that real quick. Or if I'm talking to the husband because he's really the main cook and the wife's over there picking up the pants and feeling them while I'm going through like my pitch with them, like I'm watching them, like I want to see what they're touching, what they're looking at, what's attracting them while I'm going through whatever we initially started on. And that's going to determine which way I'm going to go when I try to upsell. So like, if I notice they're picking up the flatware while we're finishing up the knife set, like I'm like, okay, awesome. Hey, so when are you going to buy our flatware? You know, now you have our knives, when are you going to get our flatware? They're like, oh yeah, I didn't really even know Cutco made flatware. I was like, yeah, that's actually our forever flatware. If you want, I can tell you about it. We have some really cool package deals if you're open to that. Save you a lot of money versus doing it later. They're like, oh yeah, what are the package deals? Like, okay, cool. Like, and I'll go into the flatware pitch where it's like, hey, just so you know, flatware is super expensive, just like everything else we make. Like, so this one retails for actually $28.96, so it's a lot of money, or $28.72. It's actually serviced for 12, so you get 12 full place settings. It's all 1810 stainless. It's dishwasher and garbage disposal safe. If you drop in either one, Cutco will actually fix or replace it for free. Actually keep a chewed up spoon on the side that I'll show to them. It's got that perfect weight where it's not too heavy, it's not too light. So it feels really good in the hand, but it won't knock the food off the plate whenever you set it down. And this is what I use for my everyday. And when I have people over, I love it because it's super classy. So I can use it for just me, or when people are coming over, I'm not switching back and forth anymore. And we never changed our pattern. So you don't have to worry about having that Frankenstein set anymore. Like if you ever want to replace individual spoons or forks, you can, and it'll always match what you originally got. Now, the best part is if we were looking at adding this onto to the knife set that we're getting right now, we get some really cool exclusive pricing. But so instead of paying at $28.72, we actually have a bundle discount where if you add it on, it's only going to be $20.49 for the whole thing. Now, the hard question though is if you were to pull the trigger on something like this, would 12 place settings be enough, or would you need like 24 or 36? Oh, 12 would be plenty. Okay, cool. And the nice thing, again, when you look at it, you're saving literally over $800 buying this here right now versus paying way more later. Like, so if we were to add this on, we wouldn't have split this whole order up over 5 payments, or would you just want to do it all in one, just be one and done? Or we could just do like half now, half next month. Oh, just do it over 5. Yeah, it's the same as cash. There's no interest, there's no finance, there's no credit. You get everything right away. They just bill you monthly for it. Okay, cool. So you do want to add? Like, I just want to, it's very natural, but it's very emphasizing, like, I leave that $2,800 price tag hanging for as long as possible. And I just start hitting high point. This is why I love it. This is why it feels good. Before they ever touch the flatware, I wanted to know, like, hey, perfect weight, not too heavy, not too light. So it feels really good in the hand, but it won't knock the food off the plate when you set it down before they ever touch it. And then I'm going to make sure it goes in their hand. If I see them going to grab it early, I will start to say that before they get to it. Like, I want them to hear that. So when they pick it up, they're like, oh, it does feel right. I'm like, right. And it's still crazy durable because people think heavy means good, but that's not true. Because they're always like, oh, I want it to be heavier. I'm like, I know, right? People think heavy means good, but it normally means cheap. And they're like, well, like it's pre-handles, but it's just like flatware should be 60 seconds and they should buy it. Cookware, maybe 2 to 3 minutes at most, but like I don't need to over fluff it. Like it's American made, it's built like a tank. It's easy to use, it's easy to clean, and it works like nonstick cookware without any chemicals or coatings in it. Your food's going to taste better. Let me show you some really cool videos real quick. Here's us doing a fried egg. Here's us flipping chicken on raw, like on a raw stove, like our raw chicken on a pan with no oil, no nothing. Look how juicy it is when you finish. Like, and they're just like, holy shit, like yeah. Do you love your current pots and pans as much as you love your Cutco knives? Oh, you don't? You should really change that. Like, they get so like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I've learned like the fluff, and like one of the things I guess anyone on my events team knows, it's like I'm very quick with my customers, but I'm still very good at getting those large orders or those package deals or those bundles or whatever it may be. Like I don't want to.
That one always says telling isn't selling.
Yeah.
Stop telling will be more selling.
Yeah, like people really, oh, I can tell them about this vapor seal and how it's 5-ply cookware and like it's like, oh, even equal heat distribution. It's like an oven on top. Like I can go through all those extra processes and they get confused and they get unsure. Like this is why cookware is awesome. Do you love your Cutco as much your kitchen? Do you love your cookware, your current cookware as much as you love your kitchen knives? You don't? Oh, that's why you need to buy our stuff. And they're like, I do need to do that.
It's so easy to position what they heard again.
Yeah. And so like, again, roundabout way of saying, it depends on what they're looking at when I go for the upsert. We have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Like there's no one right answer to say this is how you
That's why
upsert.
those notes help a lot. It's just to mitigate those.
Oh yeah, again, getting the notes on the order form so that way I know like this is already the wish list for next year.
It's gotten better.
Oh yeah, and then it's like that leaving phrase of like, hey, just so you know, this is what most people want to end up with anyway. They want to have our Cutco kitchen. So like we do our forever pots and pans, we do our forever flatware. You already have your forever knives. And don't forget, we do accessories, we do hunting knives, we do gifts. So like whatever it may be, like we're going to be your guy. We're going to take care of you. This is a long-term relationship. This isn't a one-time thing. And like I get them, like I want to tie them into that whole moment.
They're on time.
Do you, have you sold many sporting packages?
So many, but I live in Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of fishermen here, but that's something, definitely a weakness of mine. I guess what would be your
Do you use the
For
vast
that, like,
action
keys
sheets
for
or no?
that. I do have them, yeah.
So it's more so knowing what each knife is for. Like, why are you using a fillet knife? Where does it make sense? Oh, it's great for filleting. Obviously, it goes from 6 to 9 inches. Those are just really cool features that any fisherman would be automatically like tied to. But I'm like, hey, it's also really cool, especially like when you're trying to clean around the butt of a deer and stuff like that with that extendable blade that's really flexible. So you can get in those hard to reach places on your deer as well. So a lot of people like having at least 3 different hunting knives in their pack. And when they use Cutco knives, they'll never use another one. Like the 3 main ones is a smooth edged clip point because they want that fine tip to get in those real specific nooks and crannies. They want the double D edge gut hook knife. So that way, again, this thing is like a zipper. When you're cutting it open, you're not going to catch other stuff. It's going to be quick and easy. And this thing stays sharp like no other. Plus those teeth, especially on the things with a thicker hair, like those elk or those hogs and those types of things, like it's just going to be a lot smoother and your life's going to be a lot easier. This thing's going to cut like a straight edge, even though it has those teeth. So it's a special Cutco design. And then you want a fillet knife at a minimum. Those are your 3 bare necessities. You should always have a pair of shears as well if you like to do birds or certain things like that. You want to keep them in your pack just because, like, you saw me cut the penny. Like, these things are going to be awesome. And then obviously you should have a pocket knife as well. But that just depends on if you want to like cover all your bases or just some. So like, would you rather just cover everything and be done? Or do you just want to cover a few for now and we can get the rest later? And it's like, they're like, oh shit, yeah, let's cover it all. And it's like, okay, cool. A block back, 3 hunting knives and a pair of shears is the perfect package for somebody. And if you want to be really extra and you want to get some gifts knocked out, we have our complete hunting package. Like, what is your complete hunting package? It's like, oh, so it's 1,600, but you're getting every version of every knife we make. So you're getting a straight edge and a double D edge of our drop point, our clip point, and our gut hook. You're getting our hunting knife. You're getting both of our K-bars. You're getting a lockback knife and a pocket knife, and you're getting a fillet knife. So, and they're like, oh wow. It's like, yeah. So what a lot of people do is they'll keep all their favorites, and then they use the rest of them to give the gifts for people throughout the year. So like if you have a buddy, like, it's a birthday coming up, he's hard to shop for, give him a Cutco knife. It's the best thing he'll ever have. And then especially whenever people start to use yours when you're out in the field, like when you're dressing something, they're going to use your knife one time and they're going to try to steal it. So you should probably have a backup. And they're like, oh damn, and like, cause it's just like hunters, they get that. And they're spending $200, $400, $600 on a buck knife at freaking Cabela's or something. Why would they not buy a better knife from us? And it's just like letting them know, like, hey, the first time you use this in the field, I guarantee you'll never use another knife again. They're like, really, it's that good? I'm like, oh, I don't like, do y'all have the vast action sheets or no? There's that testimonial from Tom's customer. That is so good. Yeah, that's legit from one of his, the customer review on it. It's just show him that. Tom Rastrelli.
Oh, that's Tom Shulman.
Yeah, this is one of his customers. That's him. This thing is crazy.
Do you hunt or fish?
Nope.
Okay, that gives me even more confidence that you have all that. Now I can just regurgitate.
Yeah, I literally don't hunt or fish.
I love it.
But I'm from Texas, so I know this is what they use these for.
Yeah.
Like,
You used to apply when sometimes I realized.
Need like a blanket, hot
About
I'm being recorded.
oh yeah.
Sticking your head in.
Right, so from that.
What's up?
Are we done?
Yeah, I'm still.